What up? I'm not even gonna try to do it. You hear how cracky that voice was? I was
Should
gonna.
we do it together, man? Shall we do it together?
I'm just gonna go. What up, folks? I am so excited to be here, dude. And guess what? I'm already part of the inner circle because I am gonna be calling my man. I'm gonna try to say it once, okay? Uh, MustaYaki. MustaYaki.
Got it.
Nailed it.
Got it. Yeah, man, you nailed it.
MustaYaki is here, but since I don't want to hack that up the entire podcast, JJ, man, welcome to the show. We've been talking for a while. Absolutely massive congrats for the sellout. You guys did it your own way, your own unique way, and now we're here. How you feeling, brother?
Like a winner, to be honest. Like, it's such a relief in this phase, and there's something that we can still believe it. You know, it's like it's not done. The work is not done. We still have to a lot of stuff we still have to do.
100%.
And that's the weird thing with internet, right? Is like I haven't even, like, Jeff, my middle brother. We live close by, but we haven't seen each other like in person like all this time. So
That's insane.
yeah, and so we still have to hug it out with each other, just meet up and just celebrate this.
I'm super interested.
moment.
How close do you all live?
Well, Kevin lives in Gran Canarias, near Spain, so that's a bit.
No,
further.
Jeff.
But
I
Jeff,
know
Jeff
you
and
don't-
me are like, I think driving it's 20 minutes away or something.
Oh, bro. And like this whole time you have not seen each other.
No, yeah, we've seen each other like not since we made it out, not since the whole factory stuff, but before we occasionally meet up, but not a lot, not a lot.
Yeah,
so work focused.
It's crazy though, but you're chatting all day long on the internet, which is just a wild thing to think about. But dude, I am really excited for you to be here. A couple housekeeping items about me, and then we'll get straight into the show. I have a lot going on now. So just started a new space series with my OG hate mod friends, Christian and Mojito. So we all met as original hate beast mods and got to see that project explode. There was close to 1 million people in the Discord server. Insane time. I think it hit the floor right off the rip at 9 or 10 ETH, and that's when ETH was like $4,000 a piece, right? It was just wild time in crypto that never be related. We have since circled back 3 years later, and we're trying to create really just an unfiltered space that mimics this podcast a lot too, which is like, all right, enough of this toxic positivity and just secular kind of space content. Let's have some real conversations. If you're having a bad day, please tell us that. So we're working on that. I'm also working with another guy, Rebirth, who is a streamer and a Plague Friend member, and we're trying to start another content series talking about Plague members in community, and I think that will be a really interesting video outlet. In addition to, I have so many podcasts that I could probably book out the next 5 months, but I need to like logistically figure that out, considering I have a 19-month-old son and a full-time day job as well too. So much that's going on. I could sit here for another 20 minutes and talk about it and go through it, but I won't, because the rest is about JJ. I am super excited, and how we always do this first is we take the time to just do a formal introduction. Even though we're gonna go down the rabbit hole, I still do like to just do kind of high level. And even when you sent me the bullet points, man, creative director at Funky, is that how you say it? Funky Animations?
Yeah, it was Funky Animations. Yeah, it's been a while.
And there he led the transformation of, and this is where we're going to have to talk about this, because I worked at Geico, which is a large car insurance company in the States, and I managed their multi-billion-dollar brand. It did all their TV commercials and radio ads. So dealing on the corporate side of trying to like, how do you take these complex corporate messages, put it into clear and engaging content, in your case, animations, that's a whole feat in itself. So you did the corporate side of things at Funky Animations, manga artist, writer. I am totally gonna screw this up. Ipodo body.
It was iPodo boy. Actually, so think
Ipodo.
about iPod.
Why did I
Yeah.
add a body in there? Because it is
I don't
soy.
know. Maybe.
So Ipodo boy. Like my head just went to body. So Ipodo boy self-published that manga series and showcased a blend of storytelling, and obviously he has some pretty insane artistic skills. One of the interesting facts about yourself, though, is you also had a YouTube channel called How to Bam. Tell us a little bit more about that, man, because this is kind of like the fun fact about you that probably most people don't know.
No, it's like it's a previous life almost. You know, it's like it started with iPod Boy, like the manga series, and then I realized like I need an audience to sell this stuff. You know,
Yeah.
so I started building up like my YouTube channel, and I was like, I have all this knowledge about creating manga because I and my brother was also helping me out. We have a lot of research going on now. So why don't we share this with the rest of the world? And that's how the YouTube channel started, and just helping other people, because it wasn't then, like it was back in the 2012.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much in the West that you could know about making manga. And so
And-
everything that we learned, we tried to get out, man.
Yeah, and it makes sense because you can, and I see this a lot, right? And I love your thoughts. Is we'll go off script here a little bit. Being an artist, that's one of the most difficult things, because I think a lot of times marketing and branding and all of this stuff is tossed away because it's just like it's all about the art. It's all about the art. But if you want to get known, you got to figure out an outlet. Talk to me a little bit about is there anything that you can highlight as being an artist yourself and this kind of like inner voice struggle, right? Of like, I just want to be an artist, but then you have to deal with the corporate branding, marketing side of things to get you seen. Do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult as an artist to get yourself out there. I think first thing is your artistry already has to speak for itself. It's like it has got to has his own stamp, your own personality, and it makes it different, right, from others. But then the whole getting it out there part, I would say, I learned it or heard it somewhere over the radio. It's like 80% is all about business and getting it out there, being expose your art, and 20% is it's art itself, which is insane if you think about it.
Isn't
but
that
that's
so
what it
depressing
is
as an artist?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is depressing. So you really need some kind of agent or someone in between that really knows their business of selling your stuff. Or you have to do it yourself. You have to be some kind of entrepreneur or have those skill sets there that really can elevate that. And that's I think that the latter, like doing it all yourself, it's hard, but it's so rewarding as well, because you're having mixed, you can leverage on these things, right? You can just adjust your art or make it more. And that's for me, it's like, how can I get it to the attention, to the audience that I want? And you have to think about these things. So for YouTube as well, it's like I've did a lot of research on how can I get this as the number one? What's the search engines? What words or what taglines can I use just to pop it up in first place? And then I adjusted my whole video based on these lines, and then just pop it out there.
And that's the thing I think is the hardest part is, well, you said a couple of things that are really fascinating to me. Again, so I went to design school. I was formerly trained as like a graphic designer, right? I quickly realized though, like I can be an okay designer, but I'm never going to be like top tier. So like, hey, I need to figure something else out here. But I understood creative from a strategic perspective, right? So that's where I kind of went into this more branding marketing stuff, because that's a lot of like interpersonal skills and strategy stuff, which I really, really liked from a high level. But one of the first things I learned, I was making design packages for direct mail, right? And I mean, you want to talk about the worst thing to design in the world is a direct mail package. It's not fun. There's actually some pretty clear kind of tactics to kind of get your viewer to open the package, right?
Right.
But it was like 3 weeks into my fresh job, and they were like, Mikey, I'm just going to tell you right now, 90% of this is your mailing list and making sure that you have a good mailing list and a distribution network. 10% of it's the creative. So I'm like all bright-eyed and cheery, thinking like, oh, I'm going to make an impact with my art. And they're like, yeah, your art means like 10% of the actual equation. So I totally agree with you on that. And then the last thing that you said, which is hard, is for you to be super effective at branding and marketing, a lot of times, to your point, you said you were changing the video. You fundamentally sometimes have to change your artwork and your messaging against your will, because it's like, and you have to take these trade-offs. That is painful as an artist. So I get what you're saying. Any other thoughts there, man? Like it's tough.
Yeah, but I think it only grew me stronger as an artist, especially because I know, and we probably get into that, but I know a bit of like the entrepreneurial side and having to do stuff for others, right, instead of yourself. So I've never considered my first life as an artist, and that came much later. So,
And we will get to that, because that is ultimately what it is, right? It's this balance of like, if you want to be a starving artist, that's cool, but just like, no, that's what you're going to be. But if you're interested in business and entrepreneurship and art, there's a huge opportunity. And you actually, I think, end up learning more about yourself as an artist if you go down this path. Dude, we haven't even gotten to the first question, and it's already an incredible, insightful conversation. This is, and I'm going to do this because I usually don't do this, but we're going to change this up, because here's what's frustrating to me, man. And I actually would love your thoughts about this real time. That I think that just that conversation alone that we had as an artist, if an artist were to hear that, that could actually profoundly impact them. So we already have almost 100 people watching us. I need y'all to just retweet and comment it. And I'm still, is it just this day and age that I have to, because people are so distracted, physically say, comment, retweet, like, share this to get people to do it? Because, dude, I've been doing this for years, and I'm always dumbfounded as to why more people don't share the stream in real time when we just drop bombs like that. What are your thoughts, man?
I think it's autopilot, right? From people that just known of all these content coming by. And if you really reflect and really think about how much work goes into these things, then you would appreciate it much more. And I think that's where it comes from. So maybe, we have to AI this whole thing, like it's going all automatically. Or people would just have to stand still, like, oh, this is special. Let's share this.
Okay, well, I hope it does not go the AI route, because this is the only thing. This is the thing I think I have over the AI revolution, is what we're doing, and this might be it. Maybe I am just too far ahead of the game, because AI is going to take over, and this will then be shared and retweeted, because it's going to be like one of the only kind. But I agree with you. I think the autopilot thing and just the amount of content being smashed in people's face is really the thing. But I'm going to say it out loud, like, retweet, do all these things. We already just dropped bombs about struggles of being an artist, and we're going to do so many more throughout the show. So we're here, brother. It is the beginning. World famous Mikey G and Web3 question. Did I just say Mikey G and Web3 podcast question? World famous Mikey G and Web3 podcast question. I told you I'd screw this up way more than you, man.
Yeah, but you're under the weather. It's early.
I'm a little under the weather. But I actually, I like, again, back to AI taking over. I I almost want to intentionally screw this up a couple times to give it a human element, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
again,
yeah,
that
yeah.
also makes you feel a little bit easy too, knowing that like
Mm.
I'm gonna totally mess this up way more than you. But now I'm gonna try this one more time. The world famous Mikey G and Web3 podcast question: how did you get to the seat you're sitting in today, JJ? Please give me episode 1, 2, and 3. To reiterate for the audience that will listen to this later in the podcast format, episode 1 is childhood. And like I said, this is a massive question. You can start wherever you want, but I always kind of lead into vivid memories. Were you a tinkerer? Did you play sports? What did that look like? Or did you have some mantras from your parents or parental figures that just have stuck with you today? This is really critically important. People do not talk about this aspect enough, I think, because it's the foundation to who you are as a human being today, right? Profound impacts that I've had that have changed the course of my life because of my childhood. Episode 2, brother, schooling. Did you go to art school? What did this YouTube and manga and corporate and you know your entrepreneurial journey? And here, like I said, I'm really interested in the failures and insights gained, skill sets learned too, because you're acquiring skill sets to ultimately prep you for Web3, which is episode 3, your Web3 journey. How did you find it? Short, very short TLDR on how you found Web3, and then we'll get into the meat of what you're doing in Web3 today. So have at it. Start wherever you want in your childhood, brother. Cannot wait to hear this.
Awesome, man. I feel like it's going to be very therapeutic.
Oh,
We're
already here, brother. We're already here.
Already there. Yeah, where should I start? I think it's interesting. Like when I draw, like a lot, I'm always plundering and I'm always traveling back to the past, mostly in the past, you know, so reflecting on things. And I think where it started is like if I look back, where the journey of my artistry came from, because I first have to look at what my artistry is or how I interpret that, right? And then I look back at why did these things happen?
Mhm.
And I'm a perfectionist in some kind of way, so that's very interesting. Like why would I focus on that?
Yeah.
And I think it's got to do with my mom and dad split up when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Mhm.
My grandma was very much in the picture, and she was she was such a special person. She was a mentor in a way for me. She was very young as a person, very alive, very super friendly, empathetical, and I think that's been a key figure. Like she was a very big key figure for my life, and I think for my brothers as well.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, my father was in the picture, but we traveled to his place in the weekends.
Yeah.
He was not really there. He was kind of the partying type, you know. So he liked to party, live his life, just try to level up his thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, my mom was there, just a single mom, working nonstop. So she was, working really hard for us as well.
Right.
And yeah, it was a difficult time. And I think that my grandmother had such a great impact, because then she passed away in what was it? Can't remember the time, in 2009, I think.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge impact on the whole family, because she was almost like this godfather of the family, you know. Like she was holding everything together. Imagine almost like, you know, that scene from Spider-Man where he's holding the boat with all his webs. And yeah, that got ripped. So that kind of drove the whole family a bit of their own separate way, and me in particular.
Yeah.
And that's also where I think, looking at my dad, and that's a funny thing, because he was there, but he wasn't like an asshole or something, you know. He had a very good intention, and Kevin already told about him. Like, he was kidnapped when he was 9.
Yeah.
and he was just raising himself basically here.
Right.
So he
Right.
did his
Right.
best, like everything that he missed from his father, he put it on us, and he put every
Mhm.
effort and all his love that he had, he put it in us.
Mhm.
So every
Mhm.
weekend that we got there, we went to his video store that was almost next door,
Yeah.
and we rented like a ton of movies. Like every weekend, that was it. Like we went all through all the movies, and it wasn't like the PG movies as well. It was like
Yeah.
like echt horrific. Like you think of the Pulp Fiction or Heat, these movies that we shouldn't be watching as kids, but we just did. And then nonstop, like maybe 2 or 3 movies at one night until we fell asleep. It wasn't like
Yeah.
bedtime or anything. Like, okay, now it's time. No, just we until we passed out on the bed, and then we were like,
How
okay,
old were you
let's
when you're
start.
just casually watching Pulp Fiction?
I think I was 9, something like that,
Wow.
or 10.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
9 or 10 and you're just casually watching Pulp Fiction in the lights, like, that had to have a profound impact on you, and I just talked about this, do you like and again, this is reflecting back, right?
Mhm.
There's such like, obviously, me as a parent, I'm not gonna let my 9 to 10-year-old watch Pulp Fiction,
No, no way.
but
No.
you had that opportunity. Do
Yeah.
you think it made a positive or negative impact when it came to creativity or your thought process? That's what I'm interested in because you did have that opportunity and most people wouldn't. Did it impact you at all or do you not even think about that?
Oh, it's yeah, I do. It's very interesting, and it only like started like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like in thinking back, like, oh, this probably comes from this place. But it's
Oh,
I think it's both. For creativity, it's awesome because you just get so much stuff, and I think the whole gruesome aspect in anime, and that's there in Pulp Fiction as well, that impacts like
yeah.
tremendously.
Yeah.
From a personal standpoint, I'm not sure if that's a good or a positive effect. I don't think
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I let my kids watch anything like above 12. It's like,
Yeah.
no, we
Yeah.
don't go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it impacted creativity a lot, but in a positive way as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and then,
Yeah.
I mean, but so that's the thing is like the trade-offs is and this is just like a really interesting conversation in the sense that I don't think you're a mass murderer and ripping heads off like you show in manga, right? So like that's what the fear I think would be from a parent is like, oh, this is just
No.
gonna be you're gonna become this insanely violent human being. But the positives are you have this incredible creative mind. That's just an interesting thought. And I think what you said, and this goes to we always bring this up, right? And I'm really interested in your perspective here with your kids and how you deal with it with your kids, which is this really just molds into creativity, right? You had this really unique opportunity to watch these incredibly like violent and just creative movies as a very young kid that impacted you, thinks it opens up worlds and new minds of thought to you. How do you deal with creativity with your kids? Because there's two things that I think people struggle with when we just talk about creativity in general. One, a lot of people are like, I'm inherently just not creative, so I'm not even going to
Mhm.
spend time on it. I think it takes, like anything in life, a lot of time and effort to be good at let's say drawing or whatever it may be. Um, but also, I interpret creativity by exploration and trying new things. So, one, how do you interpret creativity? And then two, how are you trying to pass that down to your children?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think creativity, and I think those tie in together a bit, is for me, creativity is like the result of a lot of bottle up stuff,
Mm,
and a lot of emotions that are trapped there, like a lot of experience.
mhm.
And most of my life, I have not been very conscious about all these emotions and bottled up emotions and all these stuff. So they need an outlet. And I compare it a lot with if you look at Japanese art, like the whole anime industry.
Yeah.
For me, the stories and the visualization of it, stylization, is top tier. It's like you can't compare it with the perfectionism that they have, like how they execute that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the culture and the civilization, it's all very timid, right? It's all very respectful, and it's not very, if we compare it with Western cultures out there.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling like also with the Japanese culture, it's like they're almost like bottled up these emotions and trying to control them in a bit. But
Right.
then inside, there's a lot of stuff going on, and then it needs some
Ooh.
kind of outlet, and that could be in any kind of art form, where it be music
Yeah.
or books or
Yeah.
scripts or anime. So I think that's the way how I look at it as well. It's like, but like I said, it's just been the couple of years since I've been reflecting, like through my whole life, like, oh, that's probably why these movies weren't particularly good for my personality, but it was maybe good for the creativity outlet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think creativity comes from that place, a bit of having a lot of experience, having a lot of things that you want to tell to the world and trying to connect with, but also from your personal, and we probably get into that as well, but what we've been experiencing and haven't really given some kind of place yet. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
uh,
100%. And we will talk on that because that's actually my next question. But I love I talked about creativity a lot. I probably talk about it every episode. And you have, and this is what's just so cool about what we do, right? Is everybody has their unique twist. And I really do. I've just never thought of it that way, is like, it's an outlet. It is therapy, right? For you at times, I'm sure has been therapy. And the creativity comes from experience, right? And that's a question that kind of comes into next. This is not the question I wanted to ask, but still on the creativity. If you harness your experiences, right, does that then, in your mind, time and life and experiences become a byproduct of you being more creativity, or just making your creative more robust, is I think is what I'm getting at. Like, can a 10-year-old be as creative as a 40-year-old with more life experiences? I think is my question.
Yeah, that's a good one, because at the same time that when I was answering it, there's also like an other side of creativity, which I think I'm trying to discover a lot more as well, which is the side of like the whole creative flow in there. Like it's meant to be happening, almost like it's God in a way helping you. Like
Yes.
there's some kind of dimension of the whole idea world and every creative world that's there, and just tapping into that. And that's an interesting thing, because most of my creative work came from my nighttime, almost in that phase where when I'm almost asleep, but I'm just awake, not just enough.
Yeah.
And that's weird. It's like the dream state, that flow state.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then it pours out, and I'm working on something. I just don't want to stop. It just continues going, and I'm looking at this like it's not even myself doing it.
Yeah.
It's like it's using me as a tool just to have it come out and express itself. And that's interesting. So I'm not very sure what part of it is experience, and it's my part, and then which part is from just I don't know what it is.
And this is, I just got chills thinking about this, man, because this is well, there's two main points. And again, I'm gonna drop it now. Like, guys, you need to be retweeting this, because here, these are massive. One, which you just said, which was really interesting, is you actually, now reflecting just off of what we said of like experiencing creativity, you went to this flow state. And the real main point here that I take away is, people, life is grace. I feel like so many times we're like, if you do X, you will be like why, right? Like if you do exactly what you said, I'm going to be a creative genius like JJ. And it's just that's not the case. Like life works in many different ways. Sometimes, a lot of times, which is really cool that I think is when you start going down these, you almost start contradicting yourself because there are different aspects of things that needed to be to make things come to life to this flow state. And if you want to expand on it anymore after I tell you kind of what I am saying too, but I think people need to understand this too. And I'll tell you my perspective. I'd love to hear yours. I feel the same way, man. When I sit down in this chair, I know I'm meant to be here, and I know I am firmly convinced the reason I am on this earth is to do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is help people open up and tell their stories, because you're going to say something that profoundly impacts somebody today that's going to literally change their life. And I am making my impact on the world, and that's why I think I can do that. But that also then gets me to this mindset of this flow state that you're talking about. And people a lot of times ask me like, dude, how do you do what you do? And I'm the same way, man. I let it black out sometimes. Like I couldn't even tell you what I said, 10 minutes ago, because it just feels like an extension and a part of me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And doesn't it feel satisfying? Like just
Dude.
it's like putting your trust something in what's already feel like fate.
Yeah.
I think that's so free.
Yeah.
It feels so free. It's
Oh
like
my
you're
God.
not in your head. Like it's such it's something that you can't describe with words, right?
Right.
It's so
Right.
It's so difficult.
And I hope everybody gets that feelings, because
Yeah.
this is the other, I think, thing that is kind of a misconception out there is a lot of times you hear flow state around sports, right? And it is, I've actually felt flow state because I played tennis at a collegiate level, right? And when I was at my best, my racket was an extension of my arm. I didn't think about how I was going to hit the
Right.
ball. It just happened. And but you know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about, I'm going to swing as hard as humanly possible, and I know the ball is going to go in the court. Like that's a cool feeling. But here's the question. Is there anything in your mind that people could do to find their flow state? And I don't know what that answer is. I think I have an answer to that, but I would love to hear your thoughts. How does somebody find or even get to their flow state? It's a tough one.
I think Nike Nike knows it because they use it in their slogan, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just that, like it's doing the whole part. I also think a couple of years back, I'm not like where I suck in most is a musical talent. And I always admire everybody that plays whatever kind of instrument or even sing.
Yeah.
And so envious, and on those people, like how it's almost like speaking a totally different language. So I picked up on playing piano and just playing these kind of tunes that really are passionate for me, like Zelda, the Legend of Zelda, like those, the whole soundtrack that they have. It's amazing. So I wanted to play just one song of that, and I just started to play and play and play. But first moments, it's like you're so in your head and trying to figure out which key to press and the timing, and there's so much coming into that, right? But after that, if you keep playing it a couple of times and it's not in one go, it's like it took me probably a month to have a decent sound and sounded like a decent kind of melody in there. And then after that it just goes, and that's where the flow state, where I went into a flow state as well, is like you just go with the rhythm, you just enjoying the moment but really being present. And I think that's the key, is like really being present. So it's getting out of your own way, get rid of the whole noise that's in between, get out of your own head and just be present. And I think that's where the flow state is.
Yeah, dude. You did a beautiful job of describing that, way better than what I was about to say. I will and that and layer on in the sense that I think you actually started with the most critical thing. I think this is the step that nobody really takes. A lot of people take. And I think this actually goes back to why do thousands of people say they love what we're doing here and oh my god, it's the greatest thing, but then they don't take action to literally click a follow button. Like, I'm telling you to click a button, right? And it's because humans just are naturally don't take action. They want to be in this safe place. That's the way our brains are wired a lot of times, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's just do it. Nike by far has the greatest slogan that ever existed in advertising. People will argue Apple, people will argue some other. Just do it is the most brilliant thing in the world, because you can't get to any of this if you don't take action. That's the bottom line. And people always say, well, I'm not good at anything. And I said, well, you're not just doing it enough, right? And you're not doing it enough. You're not trying enough new things, because I am firmly convinced everybody has a reason for being here and everybody has a superpower. Anything to add on to that?
No, I think you're absolutely smashing that, man. It's like everybody has a reason. That's also what I think. It's just finding it. It's getting out of your own way. And especially when I believe is like when you get born, I already think you're already destined to do some kind of stuff. But it's just your circumstances that you go through with life, especially in your younger age, that puts all these confrontation and all these odds against you. And we're mostly spending all this time like figuring out that stuff, right? Instead of what you're meant to be doing here. So as fast as you can just get through that whole thing, the faster you can get to your potential. And
I totally agree. All right. So I've already been talking for 40 minutes. We're still stuck on episode 1. I want to be cognizant of time. I'd love to take, like another 20 minutes to get into the middle life, but I have to. This was the question I said I was going to ask a while ago. And I think you've kind of given the answers, but I want to tell you that you probably didn't even realize, but it deeply resonated with me, which was, grandma passed away. Your parents, got split up when you were younger. And then you talked about like you're meticulous about things. Art has maybe been a manifestation of that. But what it boils down to me is like trauma, right? And trauma happened at a young age for both of us, right? My parents got divorced when I was really little too. And I never realized how profoundly that impacted me until like way later on in life, which manifested in major depressive disorder. And it was a complete hot mess. But now I'm here and I'm like the best version of myself because of all of that, right? My question to you is, you obviously, and I think everybody deals with it. And it's all, I don't even think you can order severity other than like, yes, are there people born in like the jungle with an M16 in their hand at the age of 3 and the horrific things happen? I'm not arguing about that. That's like trauma that I don't think maybe a human could ever get over. But trauma in our sense of like, some pretty bad things happen and we didn't have the quote unquote stereotypical upbringing. Do you think you dealing with that over your life has been in the form of the art or has shaped you and your personality? Because I'll tell you how it manifested in me. I projected it outwards as I wanted everybody else to be happy, when I actually reflect and realize I was like insanely sad inside, right? And I dealt with it that way. Any thoughts there? And again, this is a pretty deep question. Anything that you want to share, you do not have to go as deep, or anything you're comfortable sharing, because it just deeply resonated with me when you said that.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to speak about these things, right? Because there are always people out there that have a similar experience, and if these things can help with that, that's perfect, So yeah, I think I totally agree, and I totally recognize the things that you're saying there. I think, like you said, it's not understanding it at that age yet, right? But going through it, it also makes me really think about how important a stable family household is. Like if you have
Absolutely.
like a mom and dad there that are that are giving all their love and attention to you. So if you don't have them, there's something shaking up. And I think I had a very good. I was very fortunate to have my brothers as well in there.
Mm,
Like my middle brother Jeff
mhm,
was there as well, so we could rely on each other very much and stick
mhm,
to each other.
mhm.
So we basically build a bond and have something similar, right? Like we knew the same struggles and we knew the same issues that we both went through, and probably he had a kind of different way of how he put that inside of him and how I did that. But yeah, I think it's so crucial to have some kind of basic uh, parental figure there that's there for almost a mentor in life. And I think
Mm,
that my grandmother was that for me at most.
yes, yes,
Like and if I wouldn't have her, I'm not sure where I would have ended up,
dude.
because and not to downplay my father and my mother, because
Yeah,
they did like an excellent job of the
yeah,
best that they can or could. But I think my grandmother was one of these key figures where I could feel wanted and I could
mhm,
feel like I could be myself,
yeah,
and that's so important.
yeah, yeah,
And at the same time, my father was there where he was, and I think that's also the father and son relationship where
yes,
I almost every time tried I wanted him to be proud of me,
yeah, yeah,
and that's where
yeah.
all the perfectionism came from. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, I wanted to do my best, and even before he even said it, I wanted to do it better,
Yeah,
just to show like I've
yeah,
got it, I got
yeah,
it, dad, I got it.
yeah.
And yeah.
Dude, beautiful, beautiful insights. Yet again, I've had multiple chills. Singularity just said two poets on the mic right out the bat. We were dropping bombs of just like life, and people are loving this because of this conversation. What you said with me, and this is kind of my version, is like you went this perfection route. I went, I'm gonna make everybody else happy because I'm not happy route. And I was like, I was Mikey G, the life. If you probably can't tell with my energy, like I was the life of the party. I'm dancing, breaking a leg. I'm getting people amped up. Like, just we're having fun, right? Never got in a fight in my whole life, was never the angry guy. That's how I dealt with it. But one of the things that you said that I think is important that everybody should hear this message. And if they are in a situation like we're talking about, is you have to find a support network. It's just how humans work, man. You are not like humans are not meant to be alone, and they need to find an environment that they feel safe in to help them grow, especially at the younger ages that we're talking about, right? And my version of this was my best friend had the prototypical house that you wanted. I mean, mom's baking fresh cookies every weekend, and we were playing video games, had trampolines and ping pong, and it was just such a warm, loving household, right? And it was
Mhm.
what I missed at that moment in time.
Right.
But again, not until like things happen later on in life do you realize, and I think this is how what we're doing here is trying to help people maybe realize this sooner than we were able to. But unfortunately, recently, I called them my second family. Right, it was my mom number two and dad number two. Dad number two got pancreatic cancer and passed away. And this was probably about a month ago now that I went back home for his funeral. And I knew I was going to be sad, man. But I shit you not, I cried for like multiple hours straight. And that that was just that other touching moment to make me realize and you saying this makes total sense. And I think people need to like that dude profoundly impacted me because I know 100% I would not be where I am today without him, right? Because I get it, and this is another like I say this all the time, and it confuses the hell out of people, and I would love your take, and then we can move on to episode 2. But between stuff like that and then ultimately culminating in my major depressive order, you see horrific things, you've been through really bad things, and I don't sympathize and I don't agree with it, but I understand why people do horrific things, right?
Mm.
Because to this point, if I'm going through these bad things and I don't have positive influences in my life, I would have done all the bad things. And I don't hold it against anybody that they did those, like in the sense that I get it, I understand it, I don't agree with it, but I totally could have been that person as well. Do you ever think about that?
Brother, there are moments when I wake up and just walk through the street or just doing groceries, and I just get this like awareness of how almost special it is that people treat each other good. You know, it's
Mhm,
so weird. It's like everybody is dealing with shit.
mhm,
Everybody is having
mhm,
something,
mhm.
and that people just can greet each other, and that we have a normal like conversations and can greet each other.
Mhm.
Sometimes is very very mind-boggling to me. It's like,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah,
it's we have this almost civilized
yeah.
um yeah community
Mhm,
in a way,
mhm.
but it's weird, you know. It's I always had trouble with as a child looking at the whole world and not understanding it, and still
Yeah,
have. Like
yeah,
I'm just looking at the news and I'm just not relating with this world.
yeah,
Just I'm not understanding where all this war, hate,
yeah,
even on social media. I just don't understand it,
yeah.
you know. And it's so weird and it's so disconnected to me.
Mhm.
And I feel most of the times like I'm not in this place. I'm just where am I? What kind of world is this where we're living in? And why don't we change it? And I think
Yeah,
most of the people feel this way, right? It's like
yeah,
what kind of structures are in place? Why are we having these? And why should we live like this?
yeah.
And that's
I
so weird.
Yeah, and I think it just relates back to the, final point closing out the episode 1 is that, listen, you have to find positive influences around your life. There are horrible, horrible, horrible things that happen in this world, but at the end of the day, to your point, yes, things are bad, but just loved that visualization of walking around town, but yet we still, even though something horrific could have happened yesterday, we have the decency a majority of the time to say, "Hey, how are you doing? How's your day going?" Even though internally you're not good. And that moment alone, that point of how you painted that picture, which was beautiful, by the way, still leads me to believe I think everybody inherently is good. And I think
Yeah.
everybody is trying to be good. I just don't think everybody has had the right circumstances to be good. And then this is the other question. I promise this is the last question. I think there's also a point of no return, right? You've just seen so much bad and you've experienced so much bad. I don't know if there's a way of coming back out of it. I'm not sure. Any thoughts there? That's a super deep question.
That's a super deep question. I think there is, but I think it's almost the same comparison as when something bad happened and you say, I forgive you, but I'm not forgetting. You know, I
Mm,
think it's a bit of that. I think
mhm.
it's always inside, or when you lose someone, right? It's like you
Yeah,
always deal with that kind of emotions, and how do
yeah,
you deal with it? It's like
yeah,
it's a part of you now, but
yeah,
at the same time, you have to move on. You have to find a way to make it work.
yeah,
And I think that's a bit the same like that. It's
yeah,
like you just have to move on, and you have to go further. But it's not the same person as that you were. But you have to find a way
yeah, yeah.
to
Dude,
transcend that.
incredible. I mean, we could end the podcast right now and I feel the same satisfied, but we have so much more to go. So I'm going to take this moment to reset. Like I said, I usually do not do this, but people, we have lots and lots of people watching. Give my boy JJ a follow. Give me a follow. and go freaking follow the podcast on Spotify, because this is how the brand grows. Do you really want the same secular conversation that you hear from other KOLs in the space? No. You want to hear this deep, meaningful stuff. Let's grow together. Let's make magic together. And the only way that happens is if you comment, retweet, follow, do all of the things. All right, I'm done doing that. I hate doing that, but you guys do not take action. So I'm going to have to force you to take action. All right, man. We're going to episode 2. And we just spent a long time on episode 1, but I think it's good. And now you understand what I'm doing here, right? We had some profound insights from episode 1. I understand why you're a perfectionist. I understand why art is such an important part of your life, and you're using it as an outlet. You're watching Pulp Fiction at the age of 10. Understand why I see maybe some exploding heads in the manga. There's multiple different things, and you also had trauma, and we're going to continue to unpack this throughout 2. Now, I will say, usually 2 and 3 aren't as personal, but we've now gotten to know you as a human being, and it's a beautiful thing. And if we're going to be able to use that context as you continue to tell the story. So in episode 2, what I'm really, really looking for, again, just to reiterate, is start wherever you want. You can talk about school. You can go straight into entrepreneurship. But I really am interested in lessons learned, failures, skill sets gained, and take us through this next part of the journey, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Just one thing to close off, really, episode 1 is like, with me and my brother spending so much time, we went to our outlet was gaming, a lot of gaming as well, movies, like we already said.
Yeah.
But also making movies. And that's where episode 2 will also probably venture into. It's like my grandmother, she made documentaries with a big old video camera. And that thing was like this size, just only the camera. And then it was a wire against to the whole, if we had VHS cassette tapes that went in that thing. But that thing was heavy, and that was strapped on the back. And then another wire went into the battery, and then it was to another outlet. So that thing was massive. And after a time, she was like, she did it for some kind of I don't know, for her personal hobby or something.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I'm quitting this. I don't use it anymore. Here it is, and have fun with it. And the thing was like a lot of money, but we were like, oh, cool, and you could just play with it. And I think that's where the whole storytelling and being interested in making movies, watching movies, and trying to create our own movies really took a leap,
Yeah.
So what we did as kids is really play around. You're just figuring out how this works, just doing magic shows, just, okay, you're running and you stop, and then we press off, you get out of the screen, play it on again, hey, you're magically disappeared, and that's all the things that we did. And that was such a creative experience for us as well. Like, oh, and we can recreate movies. So what we did was just all the movies that we looked at, we almost mimicked that, like the action, the takes, the perspectives, and just figuring it out. So later in life.
So hold on, I have to jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
You know what you just did? Again, we're just coming full. This is why I love what we do.
we're never ending episode 1, bro.
But real quick, what I love to do is I always come full circle in these conversations. We just talked about the importance of just do it, and the greatest slogan that ever existed. And it makes sense. You were just enthralled and fascinated by this video camera. And I think this is another thing, and I would love your thoughts on this, because this is episode 2 stuff. You just told me that you were fascinated by movies. You watched a ton of movies. Now you wanted to make them. You had this outlet because of grandma. And at a young age, you were figuring out how to magically make people disappear on camera. You have been doing this for a while. And I cannot... And I've talked to hundreds of top tier people. I can't beat consistently doing something that you love over a long period of time as the number one indicator for output of success. What is your thought there?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's like it's ingrained, right? It's ingrained with your personality, and not only your. It becomes a passion, but it's rooted inside of everything that you're doing. So
Hmm.
that's a totally different thing than just choosing on a day. Oh, I think that's interesting, and just follow that career, or just to try to copy those skills. No,
Hmm.
I think it's from the very first rooted place where most passionate people come from, and just continue that road through the whole life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Boom. I love it. Full
Yeah.
circle. Okay, I'll let you go. So you're now doing these, you're making people disappear, and now we're getting older. And now you and your brother, video games, movies, watching movies, you're starting to create movies. Let's keep on going.
Yeah, and toys, by the way, a lot
Ooh.
of toys, because we were not in a very good household position. Like, we were pretty poor, but
Hmm.
for the position that we, almost any birthday that we had, family just bought like all these toys, and it was Ninja Turtles, Transformers, all these toys that we had in the 80s, and those were magic to me.
Hmm.
So later we also did some stop motion with the camera, so just figuring out, like, oh, how can you position these toys, and how can you make them move with just pressing off and on with the camera and just position them a bit.
Yeah.
And so later on we continued that road. I never stopped loving just experimenting with camera and movies and what you could do with it, just making magic almost. So when I got to school, high school, our friends became our crew. So we just like, oh, we're making movies, and would you want to help us out? And then we created green screens, and I was sewing green screens, because you couldn't find green screens that were like big or anything,
Yeah.
especially not here in Holland. So we just got on the market and just bought like these fabrics of green fabric, just having the right amount of green in there.
Hmm.
At first, getting a piece and just put it in the camera. We'll see if it works. Okay, it works. Now we're sewing it together. Now we have a screen of 3 by 4 meters or something. Now we have a backdrop, and now we can erase these things. So from there, we really try to experiment on, okay, we're really trying to make movies now, so let's write a script and let's experiment on these things.
Hmm.
So then all these ideas came up. And first, yeah, I think from a creative standpoint, and that's also that I did from my artistry, is always copy first, and copy until you're good, and then you start trying your own thing, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then after that, you're trying your own identity. You're trying to reposition it, but also trying to have your own flavor in there.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
also, but it almost every time it started from copying stuff, and that's what
Yeah.
I say a lot to
Dude,
people
I
that,
was
"So where
just
do I start?"
about
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just about to ask that because I'm like, I look at your artwork and my brain can't even comprehend, like, how did this even start, right? Like, holy crap, like the animation
thanks.
you dropped a couple, like even when you sent me the GIF, I was like, that GIF is insane, right? And so, how, like, that's the actual skill set, because we talked about the creativity side of like this manifestation over life, right? But the actual skill set, it just comes from long hours of copying and drawing. Is that it?
Yeah, but first finding what is interesting to you, because I
Mm.
remember so many times that, when I drew was also the same time that I'm most creative, is in bed. Is when I almost I was in bed, everybody was asleep and I couldn't sleep, and I was just a little night light and just trying to draw. And that's where I started like drawing comic books. And as you
Right.
see in the backdrop here, is like Jeff started giving me for my birthday the first Spider-Man comic book, and I was obsessed by it. I had to buy all these Spider-Man comic books.
Right.
So from there, I started like copying. Oh, this is interesting. I love to get into this world and how to do this. And then, yeah, just copying a lot of stuff. And that's what we later did as well. It's like the whole movie thing also started by copying a lot of angles, perspectives, and you name it. Like we almost literally copied like shorts that we see on television, and just that because it was funny to us, we just mimicked it and just put ourselves as actors in there,
Yeah.
and just did it, So
Yeah.
yeah, I think copying is one thing, just to extend your skills, just
Mhm.
getting better.
Mhm.
But I think it has to come from a place of pure interest and passion as well, because if it's
Mhm.
not there, then you're just doing it, and
Yeah.
it has to start from a kind of this drive.
Yeah, and it goes in like when I saw you guys, I don't even know how I found you guys. I think somebody from my community was, oh, Harry Houdini. That's who it is from my community. Amazing human being. He was like, bro, you have to talk to these guys because there's two things here. Like you said, you could tell you were insanely passionate about what you do, but your brand could not be more aligned with mine, right? Like, find your final Bosu. Like, what are we talking about right here, right? Is how to count, like, we're giving you skill sets on how to find that and then conquer it, right? And so it so aligns. But what I'm getting at is what you said, which is very important, is, and I've heard this time and time again, is you have to have the passion, right? So if you're not passionate about it, it ultimately, you just can't get over those hurdles, those late nights where
Right.
you're like, and you're not spending time with your family or something that's deeply, profoundly impacting you, but that passion drives you through. And then two, it just cannot be the money at the end of the tunnel. I've heard this time and time again.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to, people that have been on this show and said, I just chased the private jet. And guess what? I got the private jet and I was more miserable than I was when I started trying to get the private jet,
Right. Yeah, it's almost like a drug, right? Passion, because it fixates you on such a big thing, and it's a fuel for everything that you're doing. Because
Mhm.
if you don't have that passion in there, yeah, you can do stuff, but eventually you will run out of fuel. And
Yeah.
then you're looking back, and why was this for? Why would you spend all these hours in this thing building up instead of your family, or
Right.
instead of your
Right.
friends? So it doesn't make sense. If you step back, it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
But there's something like that drive, that passion, that really gets you fueled, and you have to do it, or else
Yeah.
you're getting out of control. You need to do it, and that's the weird
100%.
thing about passion.
So beautiful insight, right? We just layered on the fact that, like, here now you're building skill sets, right? You're super passionate about it. You're trying to understand multiple facets of creativity. By the way, it's video, it's toys, it's drawing. Take us into more of the schooling, the professional career. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, that's funny because I tried to go to school to also a graphic design school,
Mhm.
but they had like a new class that was audio visual designing, and I really wanted to go to film school. That was my passion. Like I
Mhm.
wanted to do something about these skill sets that I have, but also this amount of passion. So I wanted to go to
Right.
film school, and there are only 4 directors getting in there per year. And
Or
when I was in high school, yeah, four each
wow.
year. Yeah, so yeah, it's very, very little. And my high school mentor, he said to me like, "There's no way you're gonna go enter this school. It's no way." Like he was very pessimistic about it. What I would recommend you to do is go to this graphic design school that has just a new class of audio visual designing, and just use that as a springboard to go to film school. And then you have these
Nice.
experiences. And so I was like, okay, it sounds like a good idea. Afterwards it was like horrible. Well, if you look at it all rationalized, it's like, oh, it's been a good decision, because or else maybe I wouldn't be in this place. But yeah, it I clashed so much against authority figures,
Mhm.
and with my teachers as well. So that was very interesting, because I was already so passionate there. I boarded the school, the whole classroom for the audiovisual designing, and there were students there, and the classroom, like the teaching, what they were giving there was like, oh, here's a camera, and how you operate it is by pressing this button, and you click this button and it opens up. You could put a tape in there. And I was like, I already know this shit, man. Like, why are we being learned this kind of stuff? I want to like get into the angles, getting to the perspectives, getting why are
Yeah.
we doing this. But it was so slow, I couldn't keep up. And there was one project, and I was talking to the teacher, and I was asking him, like, can I jump classes? Can I go to the next year or the next year after that? And he was, yeah, but you really have to prove yourself, you know? I was, okay, well, how can I improve myself? And he's like, okay, we have a project coming up. If you prestate well and you have a good thing going up, then we'll consider it. Okay. So what's the project about? It doesn't really matter. We're going to make a 5-minute short movie. And then it had some kind of subjects going in there. And then we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I I collected them all crew again, like all friends that I knew from high school, my brother as well, and we start making, well, which is funny, a trailer. Like I thought, like, oh, this is creative. Why won't we make a trailer, like pretending it's a movie, but then all cramped up so everybody can see the different skill sets, everybody can see the different editing, everybody can see like different environments, acting, and all that stuff. And it's almost like a portfolio, right? In just 5 minutes, just cramped in there. So we recorded the whole thing. Had an accident between there, so it was something coming up. But then I delivered it, and they were watching it, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, okay, it's fine." And I was like, "Okay, is it good enough?" And he was like, "Oh, it's okay, but it's not enough to get you to the next year." And that was the moment I quit, because okay, maybe it's a bit arrogant for me. Maybe I could also just check in, like, what could I've done better or something. But he wasn't really open for that conversation. So I was like, I'm going to cut this, man. I'm quitting school. And that was at the same time, probably, I have to go back because this was in 2004-ish or something, that me and my brother also started our company. So I was like, okay, F school, let's just focus on the company because we can make money from that and also build experience from everything that we're doing there. And that's where our company started, actually. So I never went to some kind of schooling system or anything, just everything from our own research. And that's our road, man. So yeah.
Dude, love. So looking back, do you think that guy was like trying to teach you a lesson, or did he really just being, a complete dick about it, basically?
I think more the dick, especially looking back, because I love to reflect on myself, and see what things I could have done better. But he was not the guy on the right position, because it was a new class, and he was also new to it, and he was also new because I also asked him, like, what kind of experience do you have? And he was like, I don't really have experience. And then I asked the big question, was like, okay, what can I do? How long or what? How? No, this was the question. How many students? Because it was 3 years it was in, the class was 3 years old. So I was like, how many students just came from this class and went to film school?
Right.
So there's none of them went to film school. I was like, what the F am I doing? I'm on the whole wrong education system here. So
100%. And you actually just said something very, very important, which is, and this is one of the things that I've learned about my business and my co-founder Bubble. I love this guy to death and just a brilliant mind, but there is such gravity and importance in social proof, right? You got some guy telling you you're not good enough, but you've got 0 people going to film school. Like, why am I listening to you, right? And the instant that I get feedback from a founder like yourself, or all the other founders come on, and I start using those quotes on my website, the impact that makes for people to realize, like, oh, this is a really interesting experience. I want to try that. That's huge. So looking back, I think you had a good self-reflection. Social proof is massive, massive. And I don't think people talk about that enough as well, too, right? And that's how I got that. That's the endpoint I got from what you just said. Let's do this. Take me on this kind of entrepreneur journey and maybe hit, 2 to 3 highlights of, like, as you're going through here, what are some real lessons or skill sets gained throughout this period?
Yeah, I think what we really did was we used the company actually to to get our passion going, right? Like, okay,
Mhm.
we're going to buy these camera sets. Like, there was a really big, expensive camera just coming out on the market. It's called the Red camera, which is now being
Oh,
used in many, many movies.
I know
You know it?
Reds.
Yeah. So that was new back in the day, the Red one, and uh, Jeff was already like, we have to get the camera because that's will get us ramp up, and we have amazing quality, and that will
Uh,
have a like a proof concept of what we
yeah.
can do, and we can really make movies from that. So the lesson there was actually like what we came to conclusion after that was like, it doesn't matter what kind of cameras you have, and it really was about storytelling. And we had experience with a lot of camera work and all that stuff, but not really into storytelling. And that's really where we really wanted to endeavor in,
Mhm.
and that was our passion as well. So we try to create kind of stuff and to get it out there, but it wasn't really good enough, and it really, our whole focus was so on the quality of the camera and what we could do with it instead
Mhm.
of the content creation. I
Mm.
think that's where a big lesson came from. Like, and it all felt, and we really felt that because we entered like the 48 film hour festival. You have these 48 film hour festivals where you have to produce like a short movie in 48 hours, which is insane.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and we competed with that. And there where I really got challenged to the max, because our team was just, me and my brother. We had some experiences, but after that we had a lot of other, well, in company kind of people, but really weren't experienced in the whole movie set. Like, we
Yeah.
didn't have a professional, a boomer, or really a professional editor. We all did everything ourselves. So that was with the 48-hour film festival as well. It's like, at the end I was so burned out, and we did accomplish to make something, but it was such a hassle just to do everything ourselves that I just fall flat. And I was like, just come to the realization, like, if this is really directing, then I'm not sure if this is the path that I'm going to take that
Wow.
much, because you have to see, like, from the whole, like, from the youth, I was so passionate about filmmaking and directing until that moment. My whole
Mhm.
dream shattered just because of that experience.
Interesting. And dude, you just said two really interesting things. One, totally agree, and I think this is with any output. It's the number one mistake. I talk to people all the time about podcasting and content creation. They want to go out and spend like $6,000 on like a top end computer and a mic and all of these things, and it's like, guys, like your hardest part that is almost impossible to break is finding your why
Yes.
and translating your why into your content, right?
Yes.
That is
Yes.
that's the hardest nut you're trying to crack. I would say save your money,
Yeah.
spend $200 on a okay webcam
Yeah.
and an okay mic, and then spend the rest of the time on that. And I think my version of that was like making a 5 to 6 page manifesto, and me and my co-founder on the podcast side, we forced ourselves to put that down to one sentence, which was bringing back the lost art of genuine human connection. Because as we get more connected, what we're doing right now is critically important, right?
Yeah.
That is the time and money spent that everybody should do. And sometimes you can't do it up front, right? Like, to what we were talking about, our experiences led us to that insight. And the hard work was getting that insight down into a clear message. So that was the one thing that I heard, is it's not about how cool your equipment is. It's about your purpose, and it's about your substance of what you're creating, right?
Yeah.
But then two, which I love, again, full circle on the just do it part, you did it, right? And not until you had this 48-hour crunch did you see the actual like raw version of what a director was. And it made you question your existence.
Yeah.
That had to
Yeah.
be like a devastating moment, right? Take
Yeah.
me through like that thought process and how you start recovering.
Yeah, it's also in phases, so because
Hmm.
the first thing, you're not understanding what you're feeling. You feel a lot of stuff, but you're
Right.
not understanding like how much impact it has later on, right? So
Right.
I just felt depressed at that moment and really didn't knew what to do. And that's where also, with a lot of other factors, our company split it up eventually.
Yeah.
It's like it led off into breaking apart, because we all had different, well, my brother and I had different mindsets, but also to the realization, because I think that's where we really thrive, is really flipping the script at that crucial moment. Okay, I feel this sucks. This is not how we want to do, but
Hmm.
what can we do to make it better? What is the focus now? And the focus really was on, okay, it doesn't matter, maybe movies wasn't the outlet, but it's more about storytelling. And that's where we came to realization. It's like, oh, it's never been about movies or the outlet, like how good your camera was and everything, but because we were so accustomed to watching movies and to have that cinematic feel and the whole lighting and everything about making movies, it wasn't about that. It was about the storytelling of what's in the movies.
Yeah.
And so we really decided on, okay, let's go back. What are we passionate about? Let's
Hmm.
just begin with ground zero and let's start all over again. What is it what we're passionate about? And I really did some reflecting. I really just thought back and really had it sink in, and what was making me happy, because we were making corporate movies, which was great, made a
Hmm.
couple good money, and we had a lot of experience, but it was almost every time about the customer and just having this project, and once it finished, it was like, okay, let's start a new one. So you're on a treadmill, right? And the passion was sucked out because we couldn't focus on what we really wanted to do, actually. So I was reflecting back, and the thing that popped up, which was my childhood, I was really looking at what made me happy when I was a child, and that was drawing. It was like, oh,
Mm.
I love to draw when I was in bed with the nightlight, just drawing and drawing away and get into that flow state and just love creating. And then we were like, okay, but what style would we do? What makes you happy? What kind of style would fit into that happy place? I was like, I'm so passionate about anime. We watched anime like in our entire lives with it knowing it, because all the TV shows that we had, which were also Western, were also being produced by Japanese studios. So that aesthetic
Mm.
feel was always there,
Mhm.
and I love that.
Yeah.
Plus, we were growing up with video stores watching Akira and Ghost in the Shell, and all
Yeah.
these were classics.
Yeah.
And okay, we can't make an anime because that would cost a fortune. We can't do
Yeah.
it myself because I can draw, but I can draw like 100 frames just in a day or something.
Right.
So, yeah, what medium could fit? What would come closest to that medium what we're talking about? And it was like, oh, I think it's manga. So then we did a lot of research. So
Explain.
let's
So
go
I
and
am
yeah,
not. I am not anime
yeah,
manga extraordinaire at all. Right. I like it. Never gone down the rabbit hole. Why was manga the answer? I'm not
yeah.
understanding
Good
that from
question.
is it
Yeah.
because of a technical perspective or what's
No, yeah,
there?
great question. I'm so custom, like everybody knows it by
No,
now,
totally cool.
But so that's perfect. You put pause on that for just the audience, just that's there with you. So anime is the animation, right? It's like the full color. It's everything that we see in motion, but the source of all anime, the most of the source, and I think it's almost 99% of it, comes from manga. And what is manga? Manga is the comic book, black and white, which has been published as a comic book in Japan, and mostly it gets published, like I said, by a uh, big company,
Hmm.
and then afterwards they get an adoption into an anime or into an
Gotcha.
animation.
Gotcha.
And that's where all the licensing stuff comes in as well, which is very interesting as well. But so that medium from, oh, we can't make a full motion animation. Let's go back to the root and the source, which is manga. And what they normally do, which is totally different from the West, is it's almost literally, if you have a comic book, you have panels on it, right? With different angles and perspectives. In anime, they almost adapt one-to-one these panels and the whole story. It's almost one-to-one copied. Sometimes there are some creative interpretation, especially in action scenes, where they go all out just to make it more vivid, more interesting. And in the West, it mostly, it's a bit looser. You don't have these one-on-one interpretations like with Marvel and Spider-Man. You know, it's just it's a total different thing. Change the story up and everything. So manga is almost, if you look at it, like a storyboard for your entire animation. And that was very interesting to me because I almost did a lot of storyboarding as well. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. Let's go back into manga and let's figure out what makes manga and what's so interesting about manga. And then the whole world of manga opened. I read some manga, but I wasn't really just deep diving into it. So a lot of self-searching. What we did was we sold everything that we had in the company, including the red ones. And then with that saving that we had, we just spent a whole year just figuring out what manga was and write a script for a manga, like a couple of episodes. That was a really risky thing, but we were so passionate about it, you know. So yeah, we just dove in that, and I was just creating manga. And yeah, later, and at the same time doing the research, you have these publishing companies that are just like books. You know, you have a writer and they just adapt these books. They get the royalties as a writer, but the publishing goes with the publisher, and that's how most manga get made. But now we get the question like, oh, this could be interesting because the Western market is still small. There's not much manga out there for the Western artists. It's all coming from Japan, most coming from Japan. So how can we open this market up? And that's where the whole like more adult mindset came into place. Like, how can we really make this a business? And that's where it really became challenging because you have to self-publish manga now. Which most audiences are very skeptical about. If it's not a manga from the Japanese or Asian market, but it's Western, then it's being frowned upon. It's not being taken seriously. So you have to deal with that aspect. And then I really dove into maybe Kickstarter would be a really great platform for that, just to see how it goes. Right. But we need an audience for that as well. And then YouTube started. So I was like, okay, let's make a YouTube channel. I'm going to make a YouTube channel. And then Jeff and I separated. He went to his own endeavor. He traveled. He lived in Thailand and Singapore for a bit. And I just went on in this on this road. So I really went from, I have to make episodes now. Jeff helped me write with some couple of first episodes, but now I have to spend and make it my own voice, make everything myself. And then I managed to publish like 3 or 4 episodes, self-publish it on my website, did the YouTube thing, and then the money ran out. I was like, okay, now it's going to be over. Now I have to go to work again. And that is what I also did. So lots of many useless and pointless jobs, like really in factories, there's just doing these kind of things that are almost like meaningless, you know?
Yeah.
We still need those people and we still need them. So still like it's good that
I'm not there. Sure. Not much longer. AI will
not much longer, yeah. Elon is going to solve that stuff.
I'm glad you brought this up because I'm listening to all this and I'm like, this is incredible. How is this dude living? Like at some point, this money's running out, right? He's just chased his passion for a couple years, and I'm like, where's the income coming from? So at some point, reality did kick in, and you're like, okay, this isn't. And I think looking back here, I think this is an awesome opportunity to give artists, whether they're manga or any type of artist, pursuing their passions, and there is this balance of I need to make money, but I also am driven by this. What is your advice or reflecting back on that time period? Would you have done anything differently, or how do you balance that? Like, I'm just interested in your thoughts because that's a big struggle for me, right? How do you balance this?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult, especially because my youngest was also born at that period. So then the whole parental thing
Mhm.
started to kick in. Right,
Mhm.
like, oh, you have to provide, and you have to really take care of your family as well. So then you have to really prioritize things, and that's where it shifted. I thought my whole creative career was gone. I thought it was over. I was just, okay, this is going to be me. I had one point I had some telemarketing, like a kind of job. Just did that. Okay, I'm fine with this. I'll just do that, and I'll just do that from 9 to 5. And but then, which is interesting, almost every day that I did all these kind of jobs on the side, I was writing like scripts or writing my whole setup for my YouTube channel. Like, what kind of content would I create next? And the funny thing is, like, all the endeavor with how to bam with the whole YouTube video was almost started from my creation of my knowledge sharing,
Mm.
my manga side to the people, right? But after I couldn't make any manga anymore, it just stopped because didn't had. I felt like a phony, like I can't make videos about something that which I don't have experience about anymore.
Right.
So that felt a bit like flat because I did have the experience, but it was like I couldn't create any content because I wasn't working on it in that moment.
Mm.
Like, okay, I'm gonna draw a page for a panel, and I'm gonna show you how these arts work or these line arts work. And I was like, but I'm not in it in this moment now, so I can't teach you what I'm really going through because there wasn't anything anymore. But I'm sidetracking now, and that's
Oh, no,
how
it's
my mind
totally cool.
works.
I like this sidetrack.
So yeah, it is difficult. Like, it's difficult to maintain that, and I think you really have to good understanding about what you want. And I think that's the passion really comes up again, because that's the fuel for what you want, right? It's like,
Yeah.
how long can you put this up, and how long can you go through this?
Yeah.
But then the passion was gone, like, because of was manga, was that my passion now? Was storytelling my passion now? So it
Another
fell
road,
apart.
another fork
Yeah,
in the road, brother. Another
exactly.
fork in the road. But this is part of the culmination. I think this is important for people to hear too. So I am a firm. I love your point on this, and then we can keep on going more on the personal story. I am actually a firm believer in being practical about growing your passion. Right. I think people a lot of times say, I need to quit everything to be successful. I totally disagree with that. Like, why would you why take these insane calculated risks if you have no runway and you don't really know what you want to do?
Right.
I have set up a situation where I have insane inflexibility, still allowed to live, but also chase my passions. Like, that's the holy grail, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and I think people just need to hear, hey, at some point you need to make money. So you need to figure
Yeah.
out how to pursue your passion and also balance living as well.
Yeah.
That's my take. What's your take?
Yeah, I agree. It depends, of course, in what you want out of life. I think it's different if you don't have kids and if you don't have a wife, of course, right? If you just have to take care of yourself. But if there's some kind of, if your partner expects these things,
Right.
and there are some yeah, you really have to look at what you want in life, because you're, as an artist, there are so many artists that just are great, or are fine in the situation that they're in. Maybe they want to have a better life, but it's so much about the art, and it's so
Yes.
much about their passion, that it's fine to have less things, in life,
Yeah.
to have basic stuff, or which I also did a lot, is like just have a job on the side and do that as, or maybe a hobby, and hopefully you
Right.
can grow that in some point. So
Yeah.
it really depends on all your own needs and your own expectations, I think.
100%. And I think that is actually it. And I think just far too often people think they read something and they think this is the answer, when it is, you really have to self-reflect on what works for you, because there are plenty of people that have made millions and gone on to be super successful by balancing things in the beginning because out of necessity. They have a mortgage, they have family, they have kids that they need to take out of. And then I think people glorify like the Zuckerbergs of the world that are like 21 years old,
Right.
100%, and all of a sudden are a billionaire in 5 years. And
Mhm.
that's just not how it usually happens. I think the
No.
stat still is a majority of entrepreneurs are in their 40s and 50s. Like that's who's creating businesses. It's not 21-year-olds a lot of the time. Now that might shift here with the younger generation being
Yeah.
forced to be entrepreneurs because God knows what's good. AI is. I don't think people realize how much AI
Yeah.
is fundamentally going to decimate the workforce within the
Yeah.
next 5 years. Like I'm not
Yeah.
talking decades, like 5 years, right? So
Yeah.
there's going to be some necessity there, but currently it makes sense too. Like why would it be later on in life? Well, you have that much more knowledge. You've actually been able to build a source of income, hopefully some nest egg to work on, and you've built these skill sets over time. So I like the message of you got to find out what works for you, and it's not like I need to be Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, right?
No. No.
Um,
No.
Beautiful insight, man. Beautiful insight. Okay, so we were at a very critical moment. You now have to go back to work. You hit another fork in the road. All of your passion seems to have like withered away again, and you're forced to make some decisions. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So I was still passionate about creating manga, like figuring out what is now my new road. I loved creating the manga anime style, but there's nothing. So I looked at what I was passionate about because when I was doing How to Bam, I went to these anime conventions, where people cosplay, dress up. And I was diving into that just to get all these researchers, did interviews there. And what I saw there was like, oh, there's a market opportunity probably for cosplay because everybody identifies themselves, everybody, but a lot of people identify themselves as a different character and they like to dress up. So what if I draw these people into an anime style?
Mm.
And that's where the idea comes from Manga Yourself. So I just booked a table on these conventions and just sold my artwork, make a photo of the person in front of me and just draw them into a manga or an anime character. And that went like successful. Like the first day I had 30 applications, and then we had the second day, and then it just piled up. So in a very short time, I made a lot of money just for one day. But also I could create my own skill set. I could, because I was good in drawing a bit of manga, but
Yeah.
like I said, the most focus was in movie making and all that stuff. So now I could refigure my whole drawing artistry out again. And plus I could make people happy, because that was what really was satisfying for me, just going to these conventions, see the smiles on people's faces, and just to see like, oh, is this an option? I can let myself draw, and it's an anime character in what character I want. Yeah, so that was great. So I just drew these characters, I just showed them, and they were just lighting up. Just the whole it became an experience. It wasn't just about the result, it was about, and suddenly we had just crowded people just coming to my stand alone, because the whole moment of capturing the photo alone was an experience by itself, and everybody was joining, and that was such a great moment. And
Sweet.
we did that over and over again, just booked a lot of conventions, just visited just also conventions internationally. So then I was like, okay, this is working. Why don't I offer these services online? And which I did. And then I opened an online website for that, and people could upload their photo and it can run. You have to wait a bit, and then I could send it. The only thing was, like, the experience was missing, right? Like the experience from being there and helping them just narrate like how you can position yourself.
Right.
But it still worked. Like the most amount of people that went to the website was like offering it as a gift to somebody else. So that what became pretty successful, and I was like, oh, this is great. And now I can expand my whole business and my company. So then I just taking in other projects, like wall paintings from some restaurant, or I want a logo, but in a manga. But I wouldn't accept like the whole graphic design or the whole video stuff that I already did. I just want everything infused in anime or manga style, you know. So
Mm,
that became like my niche and like also my passion. So I was like, oh, I'm fine with this. But at the same time, again, like sometimes it was hard, it was struggling because there weren't almost every time conventions. You really had to make a living off these conventions or every order that came in, you know, on the website.
right, right.
So there were moments that it felt kind of close, a bit too close to comfort, you know, that money was running out again, and then the whole situation started. So then I was like, there was a moment I was like, looking at my wife, how she does it with her, or how she infuses herself in life, and which is really like, she's really a strong believer of Allah, you know, of God, and which
Mhm.
I also converted to. And looking at her and in how much she can just have faith in how life just runs for her, like God helps
Mm,
her. I I just I was so uh, inspired by that. Is I really wanted to figure that out as well. Like, what
mhm.
would it be just to have faith on this in this endeavor? Because I can go back with useless jobs again, go to that whole route, but
Yeah.
just have faith. You know, just okay, this is going to be okay. And this is was such a hard moment as well,
Mhm. Yeah.
because or you go back into that whole route and then the whole passion. I felt like this is the moment where either my whole artistry or my whole artistic side just dies and it never comes back again.
Yeah.
And not in a business kind of way, you know, because I can always play piano or draw for myself as a hobby or something.
Right.
Or I really just to have faith and really just let it go, you know, and just trust it. And I did. Like there was a couple of months where money was running short, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not sure if this is going to be, but just have faith. And then orders came in. Like what? I didn't do any marketing. I didn't do any. Just it just came in, and then another client came in, and I have another job, another project, and things were going and going, and then it resulted into a foundation came to me, which is Foundation Tim, and it was really a sad story. It was their son died by an internet challenge. They did that joking challenge that they had, and it went too far, and he
Oh,
passed away. So they wanted to create like an anime trailer or an anime video just to put attention and awareness of this challenge and the how do you say that looking for, it's
take.
like the, yeah, like the it's just slipping away. It's like the, where can I
We were
find the
getting
word?
at raising awareness for this horrific challenge.
Yeah, how horrific
Yeah.
these challenges can be.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking for a word, but yeah, how horrific they can be, and just wanted to stop that, make an end to it, or making people
Yeah.
aware of take care of your children, you know.
Yeah.
But that was the first time that I had the opportunity just to make animation, because they wanted to
Mm,
animate everything.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's where I was, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm not sure how much time it is. They gave me a lot of time, and I just went into it and just, I'll figure it out, because that's what I always have done. You know, I'll figure
Mhm,
it out.
mhm.
And then I started doing it. And halfway through, it became a real challenge, because I went, oh, it's frame by frame animation, and which is totally different, of course.
Yeah.
And I love effort. And I knew that before starting it, but I was so passionate about it and also helping them, that halfway through, I was like, I'm not sure, but I can complete that. And then I get the phone call from Jeff, and he was like, "Yo, bro, we've been not talking for a while, but we wanna, Kevin and me are thinking about creating this whole new venture, and NFTs are a new thing now. Maybe there's an opportunity for you there." I had no idea what NFTs were back in the time. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of it, but I'm not sure what it is. And you explained the whole thing, still not understanding it. I was like, okay, sure, but what do you need from me? I'm like, I'm thinking about a final boss, but then an Elon Musk as a final boss, like a game, and he's an evil villain, and I want you
Mhm,
to draw it. I was like, yeah, it's okay, but I'm working on this thing, you know. And
mhm,
at the same
mhm.
time, just making that leap would be so big, because he was not asking like a project. He was like, oh, let's get on board. Let's get you on
Right.
board. I'm
Right.
running out of money. He was like, bro, I'll finance you for this. I'll just me and Kev will put money together and we'll finance you for this, and
Oh,
we'll just get it done. And which was so sweet. I was guys, let's do it. So I was just drawing this thing, and then eventually, like, okay, this is when it came to fruition. Like the whole visual art came about. It was like, this is special, but at the same time, I had this foundation, and that's where the lesson also came in. It's like I felt so bad because I couldn't continue like this whole thing, but I had to. So I had some other animators helping me out for that.
uh-huh.
And then we finished it, but it wasn't to my satisfaction. It's like
Right.
it because I couldn't put my full effort in that, and that
Mhm.
felt so bad. It's like I went to a
Uh,
whole like depression as well. Like, oh man, I because I care so much about the things that I do, and just have to stop. And I was really in a split road. Like, should I go there or should I go? They were like, no, just finish that thing up. We'll wait. My brothers were that like, you finish that thing up. We can wait a bit, and then we'll continue with Final Bosu, but just finish that thing, and then it's off. So we did that. So I finished that road, and then I went back to Final Bosu. But going through the whole experience, like, I'm not sure if I should have done that. So
yeah. Yeah. Dude,
yeah,
you just took us through an amazing journey. And here's my question. I think 1 to 2 highlights here are going to be super important, which is you went through so many ups and downs of thinking this might be it, and then questioning yourself and thinking it might be it. And then you wrapped in faith, which I think is a huge thing, spirituality in general, right? I think there's such a stigma around religion and spirituality. And I don't want to go down like what people believe in, but it's a part of a human.
yeah,
And this whole faith concept of like knowing that you are working on the thing you probably should be working on, and ultimately giving it the space to breathe was an incredible insight. But I think what I'm interested in on this whole journey, from going to these conventions up till your brother's kind of financing you for Final Bosu, got to give me a couple like deep insights for someone struggling with this right now. Like, what would it be?
well, can you rephrase the question?
So what would your insights be over, like, if you looked back at that couple years that you just described to me, because you went through so many ups and downs? Like, what are your kind of either insights or lessons learned there?
Yeah, and this is the hard part for me as a person. I'm always I put my faith into God or life itself in a way. Like everything is meant to be happening in some sort of way. That even like the obstacles and all the things that are going down with it, which I probably shouldn't go down to, are a part of that journey. So in a way, they need to be there, and
Mhm.
that's our motto as well: is against all odds. Right? It's like they need to be there just to have that lesson learned, because
Mhm.
if you don't have them and you don't learn that lesson, then you don't know where you end up with. So I'm not sure if I would do anything differently.
Mhm.
Maybe just
Yeah.
because I learned that in that state, because I really wanted to make it work. I really wanted to provide for my family, but it's that passion inside that really wants to go. There's something inside of you that still needs an outlet, which which I preferred more than just going to a regular job, a 9 to 5. So
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
strange, right? It's
Yeah.
like so focused on, even I don't know what it is. It's not clear. It's not like it's pinned out. It's not even on the horizon. There's not a dot or an island on the horizon that I can
Yeah.
clearly see where I'm going for. So it doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
from a logical standpoint. It's
Yeah.
just a feeling that's burning inside,
Yeah.
but you just have to have faith. Like, oh, it's going to figure out at one certain point. It's going to manifest, but I'm just have to hold
Right.
on. And I think
Right.
that's the lesson there. It's just having a lot of patience. If you're strongly convinced about something, just have patience and patience and patience. Go through
Love it.
that.
Yeah. And I heard a couple things here. Other things that I heard too is faith is important, right? However you interpret that, that is that
Right.
patience and that faith part, and just
Right.
like truly believing. In addition to, you had a support network that allowed you to do that. Not everybody
Right.
has that as well.
Right.
And I think that's it. I mean, I think it would really just boil down to, you gotta, even though you were up against the wall, that's what's interesting to me, is you were up against the wall, but you still at least had that inner fire and passion to push you through that, right? And so I think if you still have that, you got to keep on giving it a shot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you end up in this beautiful place where you reunite with your brothers. They're wanting you to draw this, and you find NFTs, and now we're here. So I want to be super, super cognizant of time. We've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes,
Oh,
and we haven't even gotten to like deep in the final boss. But this is what we were here for. What we were here for is what exactly we did, and it's been so beautiful, man. Are you good with about another maybe 15 to 20 minutes? We'll talk about final bolts
Yeah,
and
man.
go from there. I mean, we're gonna have to do this
Yeah.
like so many more times. So this is the first of many. Let's do this. We're gonna reset yet again. We love you all. We have talked about so many deep, meaningful things. Please give my man JJ. By the way, we're deeply friends already. We're calling him
Yeah, man.
JJ, not by
Only my
Mustache
inner
Aki.
circle.
I want to say just MustaShaki at the same at this point, but MustaYaki. I think I said it right again. And give him a follow. Give Final Bosu a follow. Give Mikey G a follow, and retweet and like and do all of the amazing things to get this amazing message out. And we love you all, and we appreciate the heck out of you. So thank you for still hundreds of people watching and still sticking around. This is amazing. I actually was thinking about this too. I was like, I think I can do this. Check this out. Boom.
Hey.
I can put some comments up there. So
Nice.
if I see an interesting comment, I'll throw it up there too. Singularity, thank you for the nice comments, and I'll throw a couple up there. I don't want to throw you off guard, JJ, if this
No,
pops
that's
up.
perfectly fine. Mr. Singularity lives in the same town as me.
Does he?
How funny is that? Yeah.
That's
I
incredible.
haven't met him in person. Jeff has met him a couple of times, but yeah, shout out, man.
Man, stop hoarding. He has work to do. Singularity just said that too. Okay. NFT final Bosu. So we wouldn't even need to go on about the NFT story. Listen, your brothers called you up. They said, we see NFTs. We're super excited. We need you to draw the final Bosu. Take me along this journey of final Bosu, because I know like you guys had this really small 555 collection, right? And this was a couple years ago. What I'm really interested in is that moment till how it all culminated now, because I know there's probably a lot of twists and turns within there. Why it took so long, any insights and kind of, again, skills gained throughout that time. So take us on that journey.
Yeah, so it started not as a collection of 555. We really wanted to make a collection about final bosses. And what was final boss to us? It was like the whole mindset of being a boss, like being like all these memes were out there, like you're being a final boss, you know, and just having these big entrepreneurs like an Elon Musk or David Goggins or a Wim Hof, like having them portrayed as an evil villain almost, but still putting Easter eggs of their lessons in there was fascinating to us. So yeah, probably most have heard the story from Kev, like how that came about, like finding our partner in that, being drawn, being able to draw like one of the basketball players.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that was an amazing journey for us as well. Like, oh, we are really stepping up. We're really trying to make this work, and we're really entering this scene. So then they were like, we have this idea of making this collection, and you are so good in drawing people into an anime style. We still want to yeah, well, honor that anime style that you draw, and we love that style, so let's go in that direction. So what if we create like people from the NFT space
Yeah.
and just draw them into an anime character? And I was like, okay, uh, whatever you guys say, because there was some back and forth. Of course, if this is a good idea,
Right.
because if your face is out there. But yeah, the intention of it is just like, we are going to be doxxed. We are going to get in space, just showing our faces, just sticking up to what we are passionate about, that we are dreamers, and we want to amplify that into all the other people as well.
Yeah.
And that's where it started. Like, okay, let's do this. Let's go this whole route.
Yeah.
So yeah, then the collection sold out at that point, which was great. Many supporters, like the greatest supporters that we have now, are still from that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, can be more appreciative and more thankful about these first guys that and girls that were there.
So talk to me about, so you dropped this original collection, and then we've got years, and then you've been able to rebuild this hype with Abstract. Talk to me a little bit about that journey, because it's very rare that somebody drops a collection, sells it out, and then actually decides to stick around, right? But was this intentional, or was it the market fell apart and we needed to reevaluate? Like, take me through those twists and turns and what that looked like.
Good question. Yeah, we always have, and I think that goes back to our grandmother, right? It's like that heart and that passion that she has, like the whole trying to get us together and what it's all about, like finding the meaning of life. I think that's what get us together and really are aligned with what are we doing this for. After we sold the collection, we were like, let's get our whys and our whats and our hows together. Let's really figure this out. Let's build a company. Let's build an organization. Because back then it was like, the 21, the 22 vibes like NFT had.
Yeah.
So we were like, we were here to stay. So how can we figure this thing out? We loved working together. How can we really make this thrive? So we really went back to basic, really level zero. Okay, let's find it out. Let's build a brand. And then we discovered our whys, our whys and what we do it for. And we did it for the community. We really wanted community building. And we really wanted to make something of quality and really what we found passionate. So we really had to align with each other. What are we really passionate about with each other? And it was, of course, challenging because we already had a road, right? So we're now looking at, okay, how can we make this really work? And then we came to the conclusion, like, if we looked at the whole space and what everybody just been doing up till that point was really great artwork. But what was missing was really IP. It was really like, how can you build IP very good if you look at the biggest IPs out there in the Web 2 space, right? It's like the Harry Potters, the Star Wars, and you name it. It starts with characters. And that's where I was good in. Like, I already created manga. I already created like all these years of experiences in writing these stuff. It was like, if you want to have an emotional connection with your audience or with your sellers, then you really need to have emotions in there. And that are characters. Those are the storytellers. That's where the story is. So our primary focus became on, let's create these characters. Let's create these characters that really resonate, that really have a touch in the market as well. So then you have Bull and Bear, for example. Okay, hey, that's cool. We have a Bull and Bear market. So how can we play that out? So we really put together, like, how can we make this a creative effort as well? Yeah. And try to figure things out. It's almost every time it's problem solving. Okay, we have this problem in front of us. How can we going to solve it? How can we dig into this? So there's a problem which we found, and that's personally for us, is that if you look at an NFT that everybody puts out there, I'm missing something. I feel like I'm not engaged and connected enough. And it could be through artwork. It could be by the founders. It could be by multiple things. But what I am really want to be connected about is by that emotion, really by having characters that are steering in the same moment, steering in the same values that I have. So then the whole thing, just looking and figuring out at what that the market need, and looking in Bored Apes as well, like what is the movement behind it, and for the world of women as well, they have a movement, you know. Everybody can rally around it because they have a clear movement of what they are. And then we try to figure it out for ourselves as well. What are we? What are we a kind of company? And what we were really aligned with and really passionate is personal growth. It's like that's it for us. Like we really want to go through all these experiences by just leveling up, but you can't do that without having the odds. And that's what I was talking about just a couple of minutes ago, right? It's like being thankful about life that's already there. It's a journey, and you need to have these odds in there just to have to grow, because if you don't have them, there's no growth, there's no lesson learned.
Yeah.
So that's how we turn it around. It's like, okay, it's against these odds, and it's this movement that we really want to drive further and hope. And that's where we're not sure if it lands or not, is how can we package this in a good way, and the marketing comes in, and all the things, like how can we position this in ourselves. And luckily, when we first dropped the trailer and really had Against All Odds, people just resonated, and people just understood that message instantly. And we were still thinking about how we need another line, and we need some other ways just to have the message more out there so people understand and relate to it. But people already pick it up, man. This was so amazing.
At what time was that? I forget when the trailer dropped.
It was in December.
Yes, of 2024, right?
Yeah.
And so you said many of things, and again, we could talk forever, but you actually started with your whys. Can you describe those in the beginning when you were trying to go through your whys? What are they?
We were watching Simon Sinek, from where we really went to the golden circle, like back for understanding your whys. And I have them written out because I'm not the guy that I'm not the memorable guy. But let me see if I can find them real quick.
Oh, take your time. This has been a fantastic conversation. This is actually a great break for Mikey to say, again, follow JJ, follow Mikey G, and go hit up that podcast. Like if you really enjoy this content, I deeply think one of the reasons I do Web3 and just in general, these are the messages and lessons. Like what have we talked about yet today? Meaning to life, basically, creativity, entrepreneurship, how to deal with trauma, how important a support network is, all of these different things that people need to hear at different moments and times to be successful, I think is critically important. These messages need to be here more, not just within Web3, but within life, especially if you look with the world that we're dealing with and what's all around us today. So please, please, please share the love.
Yeah, appreciate that. I don't have the list here because it's somewhere.
Totally cool.
But I have some sketches that we worked on, so that's also very interesting, like how we got to that point, right? So there was some bullet points in here, like fear is not being good enough, and curious how the experiences bot fights will be played out. Shame and guilt for not learning more and improving life quality. Social pressure for not making something out of your life. Interested in gaining new perspectives and learning new life lessons. A triumphing victory for completing levels and defeating final bosses, and excitement for exploring new experiences. And the house were like high quality art, building with community, and play to learn experiences. Now that why we have, I'm certain that there's somewhere a document that we have the why figured out somewhere. That's a very perfect line, but I'm not sure where it is. But it was so, it went clear for us that what direction we wanted to take this in. It was so relieving as well as, okay, this is our starting point and this is where we want to go. and we only have to fill these things. So we knew like characters were a very big point, and we needed the trailer because that's what Web3 is all about, right? But
Yeah.
paying the attention, but we needed to build it like quality wise, and we needed really to have that message of what we're standing for really try to transpire, really like to get it out there or transcend almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, that became really, really interesting.
Dude, thank you so much for sharing that. That's great insight. I have not heard that angle at all, but again, that's what we do here. So before we get to like mint drop in the future, so again, 2 hours now. Let's do this. I still have a question about this moment of time where you mint until the trailer drops. Then we can talk about what the craziness that you just experienced and then what the future looks like. I ask one final question for every guest, give you my closing comments. We'll call it a day. How does that sound?
Sounds awesome, man.
Awesome. So this 2-year gap, it's about 2 years, right? Since you dropped the trailer and you have the first collection, or is it less time, more time? I don't remember.
3 years. We the 3
years.
years. So from the first collection till the trailer was
till the
almost
trailer dropped.
Yeah.
So that's a long time, especially in Web3, right? And so is it as just as simple as to build a brand, an anime brand, it takes time? Or did you have a bunch of pivots within that time? What did that look like? I'm interested in the kind of the nitty-gritty of that journey.
Yeah, it's almost from the outside. It looks like it's like where does it stay, right? Why does it take so much time? It's the same as Nintendo.
Yeah,
I always compare like Nintendo has such quality products, but it takes such a long time to create these games. But they're for forever. Like they're really quality, top tier A games, you know.
Yeah.
And just seeing the game come out, then I understand like, oh, all right, there's so much going into this. And that's the same, I think, a bit for how we operate. It's like we not only had to create a new NFT, but we also had to create a new brand. And we also create a new an organization. We had to create some basic storylines, like a minimal viable product for that. So these elements just take a long time just to figure out. And that's it. Like we really try to find the angle of what can it be, what kind of style do we want, how does the NFT be different from the first one, because we knew like we wanted to make a main collection, really want to make don't want to make like all these personal drawn out anime style characters again, you know, because those take a lot of time. But also we learned from that it's cool to have recognizable characters, but of course it's also like tricky in this Web3 space. You have your face out there. It's not for everybody, but really wanted to center like what is it about. It's like we are passionate about anime, we're passionate about storytelling, and how cool would it be, because that's the mindset where we went to. It's like if you have a One Piece, I'm not familiar if you're not familiar with One Piece, the anime series, or a Naruto. There are all these big anime, these big anime titles. What if that would be an NFT collection? How would that look like? So we almost like reverse engineer it, right? Like how cool would it be? What will the world look like? What kind of powers would you have? What kind of characters would you have?
Yeah.
So it's from that angle that we really needed to figure out, okay, we're starting from scratch here. It's not like we already had a story or already had characters out there. We really have to build everything from scratch. And the whole mentality was also like, because that's where the whole childhood came in. We were so passionate about IP building because we played with all these toys. We played all the video games. We did all the movie stuff and the animes. And so how can we, and that's what I loved, is I went to a store, bought the toy, like Leonardo from the Turtles.
Yeah.
And I could open in the whole package, you know, how it was designed and how it made you feel as a kid. And then seeing that on television, your favorite hero, and you could identify with one specific color or character, right? And then you can play it in a game. Like that whole concept to me, that is fascinating. Like you can have multiple medias just to have as a playground.
Yeah.
So it's not only stuck in one medium, and that's that's where the magic for me comes in.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how can we utilize this? How can we look at this company or this organization? How can we brand this off? And how can we do this good? And then the merchandise comes in. Like, okay, what would be our merchandise? If you look at Pokemon, yeah, it's fantastic how they did that. So Pokemon was also a big inspiration for us. You have the Pokeballs, which is a very recognizable icon, right?
Yeah.
And something that many people, or not many people, but is very unappreciated, is the sound that comes with these icons.
Sound design's huge,
Bro.
huge. I
Just
actually ripped back a lot of the most influential pieces of creative I've seen. A lot of it boils down to sound.
Yeah, man. Like a movie, if a movie is good or not is mostly dependent on how good the music and the sound is. I rewatched Back to the Future with my kids recently, and I was just like, I was absorbing like the whole music in there. It's so recognizable as a team. I'm so enjoying it that after it, I played it for a week nonstop.
Yeah.
Like just getting that drive and like understanding how they used it and they changed it a bit for another sound and for this. And so that's
so
also something like, okay, the Pokeball, if you just close your eyes and you hear that sound, everybody knows now what it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
So it's that. It's like, okay, how can we create that? And how can we create like these merchable items? If you have like a suitcase in our world, how could that be expanded into a merchable item? So these are the things that we were thinking about. Like, okay, we need something that you can expand upon. You need something, especially if you're going to community building, you need some kind of playground. And a big inspiration for that was Star Wars. Like Star Wars is one of the best lore worlds that you can have out there, which can span off to many, many different stories. And that's why Mandalorian is there, right? With Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni just creating their own flavor into that. It's like it's already a world that's being created, and now they can just expand it. And that's something that we had in mind as well. So we need first the world building. We need something where to start off from, but you also need these characters just to have emotional invested. Because if you don't have that, then there's nothing. You don't have Star Wars without Leia and without Luke, right? And without Darth Vader and all that stuff. You need that just as this first interpretation, as this first that you know of, just to have that link and that resonates with you, and then you can build these worlds. So that was all these focus points that we're owning in at.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense, right? Like your original collection was, again, we understand your history now, right? You were doing these manga style characters for individuals and bringing them to life, right? And that's kind of the concept. And you're still doing that for some, I think, OGs or community members as well, too, right? I think if you have an original collection piece, aren't you guaranteed a manga style version of yourself, or no? Is that
from the first collection, you mean?
Yes, from the first collection, right?
Yeah,
so you're thinking about this, and you're like, again, this is it, and then again, we know life happens, and you're like, well, this isn't really scalable for NFTs. But what you did, I think, is very important, which is you then took this time to build elements that you knew were going to be the cornerstones of what you think can be a massive IP, right? So it like your, and tell me if I'm wrong, your trailer drop was because throughout that 3 years, you felt like, okay, now we do think we have the core of the story. Now we do think we understand who the final Bosu is. We do have the elements to continue to expand this IP and do it the right way. Am I right or wrong there? Is that...
No, you got that, man. It's really preparing yourself for something that you know has enough that you're comfortable with, that you know enough that there's a foundation that not only for us but also for community members could build on, that the structure is there, like the pillars are there, and then you're comfortable enough just to go out there. So yeah,
dude, love it here. All right, the two questions we'll talk about just the craziness that went on. I'll ask the last question. We'll call it a day. This has been an incredible time. I knew it was going to be great. Exceeded my expectations already. if you are not liking, following, sharing, doing all the things, you're out of your mind. Here's the question. When did you decide abstract? Like, how thought out was this strategy once the trailer drops and then the evolution to the mint? Take me about. I'm really actually interested in the planning versus you are reacting to the market and taking what you think is the best opportunity. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think that's where we own on our own qualities as brothers. You know, I think Kevin was mostly responsible for that stuff. Kevin, I'm not sure if it was the trailer drop or before that we already thought about abstract, because we knew abstract was going to go live, and I think it was a matter of planning, because we didn't knew back then when abstract was going to go live or not, because I think that was a period when they just moved it a bit, a couple of weeks. So, but it was in the planning. It was like after Kevin, we were discussing it, like, is this a good position or not? Are we going to do it or not? And I think that's where Kevin is so excellent in what he does, is when it comes to this Web3 stuff, I lay all my trust in him, you know, because he's much more knowledgeable about that, and Jeff as well. So that's the point where I go, okay, guys, what do you think? And they go with arguments, and then we discuss it, and we're like, okay, that makes sense. So having Luca on the team was a very big consideration for us. Like, okay, I think this is going to be a very good move. I think timing wise, it was a very good move, but also positioning ourselves as a number one brand that could stand out, you know, because for all the projects in abstract, like, they would position us with everything that we had, like a number one position.
Yeah. And I think, and this is what I've heard and I've known, like, at this is the difference between, I would say, you guys and a lot of other IP out there. You have, because being number one is not only like table stakes, you have to have some of the best, if not the best art. And so you're up there on that, right? You have to have some of the best, if not all of the best connections. And in addition to, you have to have this kind of, you have to have a plan, but you have to have an ecosystem where you can be the number one and stand out. And it is very difficult now that it's so saturated. So abstract does make sense, because you could one, not to like discredit what you guys have built, but it's way easier to be number one on something new than something that's been around, right? And so I think that's a good strategic move. So by default, you already have all of these high level things. You pick something new. It is easier to get to number one than a very competitive. It's the blue ocean, red ocean thing. I don't know if you've ever heard about that, but it's basically it's a business strategy concept of like, do you go into the red ocean where all the sharks are already eating everything alive, or do you pick the blue ocean where the competition isn't as fierce and you can become the top dog a lot easier? And I think that is in essence what you did by picking an L2 that, one, had the power of this massive brand like Pudgy Penguins, a guy that has already built a brand in the real life, and then you are able to own the throne of the top manga anime thing, which is also a meta within the space. So I think that's an interesting insight and a smart move.
Yeah, but also it's mainly because of Luca as well, right? It's like, Luca has been building such amazing things, and we really know that he is going to build so many amazing more things. We know, like, he's genuine and he has a really strong passion about making this work. That was a very big push for us as well. It's like, let's go that direction, because I think Luca would be a great fit for us as well.
Yeah. I have like kind of the future segue into the future question, but before that, any insights you want to give me over just the last couple weeks and the experience? Because very few people will ever get to experience what you just experienced, which is an insane amount of work, and it all culminating in the vision of success and selling it out and getting the validation after working so hard. Because think about how many people work that hard and don't get the validation. Talk to me about anything about how you're feeling, what happened, any insight there.
Yeah, it's been so incredible. Yeah, it's been so long, right? It's like 3 years. It's very very long. So up to this point, like just putting the trailer out there was a very was very nerve wracking as well, because
Mhm,
then as an artist you're going to be criticized and everything that
mhm,
you did, and that's the same thing that we experienced, like what we talked about with the previous company and all the endeavors, 48-hour film festival and everything.
yeah,
So it's like, okay, we're going to make this. We know we want to do this, but is this enough for people to go crazy about? Is this enough
mhm,
for people just to buy into what we're actually building? And that's the
mhm,
point. It's like if you have a normal trailer, normal trailer, I don't want to say a normal trailer, but if you just have a trailer just pushed out by another company that we
mhm,
just could get by a third party, it's totally different than doing it in house, right? It's like
mhm,
the whole passion is still there. Everything we worked on is still there. And then we really hope that came true. Like it's like, okay, what we are building, because that's been one of the downsides in this market as well. It's like people think that we're going to quit after this. We're going to take the money and just, okay, guys, thanks, bye, and just one of these flipping kind of NFTs projects. But no, we really want to show like we're here. Kevin has been building and doing most of that stuff, just having the personal connection. But the thing that I could do was only from my artwork, from my creative, my point from there. So we really hoped like that came true. And yeah, seeing all the reactions there and how everybody picked it up was like, okay, is there not a bad thing to say about this? Come on, please, guys, because we're still we're still critical and we still want to work on things that can improve. But it's been so welcomely and lovingly received. That was such an amazing thing, but also getting it off our chest finally, like, okay, now I can talk about it, because before I could talk like, we have a trailer and we have some things to show you guys, but it's so hard just to close your mouth. So I've just tried to not be as present
yeah.
on X and on social media. So like, let's get this thing out there and then we'll see. So
Yeah, and I think what you've done today is exactly what you continue to keep doing, is just sharing these deep, meaningful insights. I think one of the things that you just said that is important for people to consider for the future, which is, you're absolutely right. One of the differences in a lot of IPs that I've seen have come through is a lot of times they're doing it in a third party shop where it's not yours. There is absolutely a difference, the fact that you handcrafted all of these things that yourself, and it is an in-house endeavor, and the thought put behind it. That does not, though, take away the fact that what you're trying to do is a monumental undertaking. It's insanely competitive. You have to be top tier, like you said. There's just no other way. You have to be the top of your game. And so, my question to you is, this is twofold, and this is kind of into the future, is how how are you going to continue to convince the community that you're top tier, is where I'm going to start with. Like, how do you do that, and and how do you live into that, because it's the only way at this point, and that comes
yeah.
through connection, your art style. Every move that you make after this mint reveal has to be top tier, and that's a scary thought. So what are your thoughts, takes on that?
Yeah, I think it's a journey where you push yourself to get better, right? So it's also, and then people don't understand that much. It's like if you start from one position to where we are now, we weren't being able to crunch that out what we have been crunching out for the last time. It's like
Mhm,
it's the whole journey where you just grow and grow and grow and get better
mhm.
alongside. So it's very experimental in some ways. It's very meaningful and learningful as well. Um, Kevin is much better in saying how to what the next steps are.
No,
But
no, no.
it's I
But remember, I want it
yeah.
from your perspective. Don't feel. I don't. I actually intentionally don't want you to. I don't want the PR. I don't want the marketing stuff. I want from your heart. How do you think you continue to be top tier? Because it is a necessity for you to guys to win.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I said is like, which is also it's that whole growing part. It's like
Mhm.
I can't go back now. It's like where I am now is at this level, and it's only pushing yourself forward. And I think that really coincides with our motto, that against all odds, it's really pushing yourself to go better. And that's what we all align with, the personal growth. So we don't stop. It's like it's in our blood, it's in our DNA, it's in our connection with each other and with the team as well. It's like we want to push it. And I think that's where what's so beautiful is that the members now that are working with us, that come from the community in the first, and now are aligned with our mission, and they all have their own unique roles.
Yeah.
And yeah, big shout out to them. It's like they really help us elevate to the next level as well. So it's also about people, right? It's not only about your own self creations and stuff, but you need others around you just to have, yeah, the reflection and to
Yeah.
rise with each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think what I take from what you just said is, yes, just the constant pursuit of learning and growing. But I think really leaning into, and here's the fine balance, right? Is you can't be driven by just community sentiment. You're going to piss a
Yeah.
lot of people off. But you're also going to make a lot of people happy. I think the challenge to you, and my challenge is always to all the founders, is you, and this is so hard to balance, is how do you effectively utilize the community to level up your strategy as a business? And
Yeah.
that's the hard part to think about it too, is right, because you're taking this personal aspect, but then you have to cultivate it into business strategy. And
Yeah.
how do you do that? And
Yeah.
it has to be a big part of it, like, because you already made the decision, man. You're a Web3 company.
We're in it now. Yeah.
That's there. It's the stakes in the sand, right? Any
Yeah, but
thoughts
it's
there?
yeah. That's a great question. Yeah, and I think, and it comes back because it reminds me of a question that we were asking ourselves. It's like sometimes we came to a midpoint in the trailer, and then sometimes you have these moments where you just don't know what direction to take. Right? You just have those moments. Like, is this the right direction? Is this going good or what? Then you really get that imposter syndrome going. You
Mhm.
don't know if it's the right direction or not. And what Jeff said, and that really reassured me, was like, bro, we have a certain taste, and you really, as an artist, you have a certain taste in what you like or not. And just trust that, just go into that. And to bring that back to here, I think that's also what we're trying to build here. Is when there's so many community members or so much being said out there, it's a matter of taste. It's like picking out the things that fit with the company, fit with the organization, fit with the brand, fit in what we are trying to build. And I think everything is welcome, because we also have negative comments. We also have like FUD. We also have all these kind of things that are not good in first instance. But like I said, it's a part of the journey. You also have to take these in account and just listen a bit, but it's really curating, how much you take out of that.
Mhm.
And I think
Absolutely.
that's it. I think it's just a balance between what everybody wants, but especially listening to your own North Star. It's like, this is where we're going. And I hope that everybody goes along for that ride as well. And that up till now, we have shown like an incredible amount of work, an incredible amount of passion that went into that. And we just hope that everybody's along with the same ride.
Yep. Awesome, man. Appreciate the insight. And so this is kind of the closing down. So next 3 to 6 months, but I'm going to ask it in a different way, to just, instead of telling me what you think the next 3 to 6 months holds, I'm going to ask it in this way: is you've cultivated one of the most biggest sought after brands in the space, but it's a Web3 brand. And these people expect floor to go up and are ruthless about your next every step move. How do you balance that? Or is it as simple as, guys, you've joined a long-term vision and a story, and you're gonna have to hold on to it for a while because this stuff takes time? How do you think about the future?
Yeah, I think it's a balance between all these things, right? It's like yeah, we are focused, and especially my part is like I'm focused on creating the best thing that I can do
Mhm.
regarding storytelling, regarding that if it comes over, if it comes across during these emotions and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that takes a bit of time. You can expect like having a new episode out next week. That takes time, but at the same time, and I think that's what I also talked about just then is like we have an incredible team, and that team is also focused on that market and on that side. So they will all and yeah, that's the beauty of our collaboration is they come up with a new concept like okay, how can we create attention, how can we create this, and then I come along and from my angle of storytelling and how we can have that emotional connection and with Jeff as well, and then we just make it work. So it's for the long run, but it's also for the short attention for now what makes it work in Web3. So I think that's balanced out greatly within our organization and with our team. Yeah, I'm just looking for. We already have some plans in motion, um, and yeah, I'm just excited for the next steps, man.
Awesome, man. And so now the literal question, anything that you can reveal over the next 3 months or talk to, or are we just gonna leave it as mint reveal coming up sooner than later, and you'll have to stay tuned for the rest?
I'm not sure if what time zone or if it's already out, but there's a post coming out today. I'm not sure if
Awesome.
it's already out, but if it's coming out, that post will also yeah be something to look forward to. Like that's going to be also
Awesome.
great. I don't want to amp it up too much, but I think it's going to be great
No,
for.
I won't amp it up too much. I'll check.
Yeah,
I'll check it out. Nothing quite yet, but okay. Post coming out today.
yeah,
Don't want to overshare. It's the number one mistake. So we have come
yeah.
pretty much close to the end. I ask you one last question. I'll give you my final comments, and we'll call it a day. And the last question is, my man, you have now just gone through the Mikey G and Web3 podcast experience. You've listened to thousands of spaces, I'm sure, been in spaces, maybe been on other podcasts. How was your experience today compared to all of the other things that you've either listened into or experienced when it comes to podcast or spaces format?
Yeah, I think it's incredible, and it has everything to do with you, bro. It's
Thanks, man.
like it's so wonderful, and how you can also be so patient because I can I can go in all kind of directions and make
Oh,
this podcast maybe longer than it should be. But you've
no.
been in there, you've been listening. But I love your questions and just to have these breaks in there and just go into more depth than I already was be giving, and just
Yeah.
put a halt in it and just go into that direction, but also make me feel comfortable, like it's for me as an introvert, it's very difficult to speak on spaces and
Hmm.
to speak on these kind of things or podcasts even. So the whole nervousness is just gone. And yeah,
Ah,
you've been a
thank
tremendous
you.
champ for that. Like, but yeah, the whole format, it's really an experience, and I think and I hope it was useful for many people watching as well.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Yes.
hope it was useful for you as well.
Oh, dude, it was incredibly useful. And I again, gave me chills, man. Like, that's exactly what I'm going for. And I think, like anything, it takes time, right? What we just did was not the first time I did this was not the same experience, right? And I've grown on those experiences, and we have had comments of people just blown away about how deep we went. And rolling into my final comments, one, thank you for that. Two, like I said, exactly what I thought was gonna happen is this is the beginning of a friendship, man. I'm gonna be devastated if we don't continue to talk and figure out how to learn and win and grow together. And we will hug it out in real life. I know
Absolutely.
this will happen. I feel this is gonna happen. Um, there are so many insights throughout this time. I don't know what to. I'll touch on a couple things that the whole, growing up, the trauma stuff that we talked about, your take on creativity, your take on how you manifest these ideas through your artwork was probably some of the most impactful stuff that we talked about. And not only would it impact me, but I was able to relate to you. And this is what you did, man. You just broke yourself down as like, there are people in this space that look at you as like a god, right? Like you are the freaking final Bosu god. This is the guy that's creating all this cool stuff, but you just humanized yourself. And that's what everybody needs to realize, is that anything is possible if you just find your I think this is the way you pronounce it, but ikigai is what we talked about last with Kevin, which you're going to have to meet Kevin from. They're creating a game called Project O. It's a tabletop digital card game. Like, I have so many people that I want to introduce you to that are creative and have similar vibes, that it's just thank you for being a person. I think way too many times we idolize people in this space. And at the end of the day, dude, we all bleed red blood. We all have the same anxieties. We all have the same depressions. We all have the same fears and frustrations. Like, none of that's changed. And you allowed me to reveal that to everybody today. And you did a beautiful job. Couldn't even tell that you were nervous. We didn't even talk about your introvert stuff. The other thing I need to hold you to is we need to have many more conversations. And I really, really deeply want to talk to you and Kev in the near future of how we can continue to integrate our brands together. Because I think against all odds, and I think my mission of bringing back the lost art of genuine human connection and telling stories against all odds couldn't be more of a natural fit. So let's continue to talk, figure it out. And from the bottom of my heart, bro, you just gave me 2.5 hours of your time. That is insanely valuable. You could have made a lot of artwork in 2.5
Yeah,
but did. We made artwork.
Yeah.
We literally just made artwork.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. It's like, this was art, and
Yeah.
you were a part of that. And just making this together, that was like beautiful, man. I think you're a wonderful human being.
Thanks,
and I think
man.
you should continue this just endlessly until you. Yeah, exactly.
I won't stop, and we're gonna be holding hands on stage and talking together. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. And with that,
Manifest it. Yeah.
No, manifest, absolutely, it's happening. No problem at all. And with that being said, we just had one of the most magical 2.5 hours of my life. I hope it was of JJ's as well. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna end it one last time. People, share this. People need to hear this. Follow me, follow Final Bosu, and follow JJ, which is actually pronounced MustaYaki.
Almost there. Yeah.
MustaYaki.
Good enough.
MustaYaki.
Yeah.
And that is it. It has come to an end. Mikey G and JJ, love you all. We're out.